I say that only because when we're communicating ideas and recognizing that we're not only speaking to the people that agree with us, but also to the people that disagree with us. Another point to what Dr. Carson pointed out was the one thing he'd do would be get rid of political correctness, because it hamstrings so many out of the fear of a response that is disproportionate, distorted, or otherwise, and attempting to make what we say, not what we said, but to manipulate it, distort it, in order to advance a political agenda, because they can't advance it on the substance of their arguments. And I thought it was interesting because then we could just have a conversation and give each other the benefit of the doubt. And that's why I always bring up the fact, or the idiot all-star team of Westboro Baptist Church, KKK, and the Black Panthers, and talk about the fact that, no, because you believe, and I believe, be it in marriage or what has become traditional marriage, life, limited government, human nature, and understanding the limits does not make you somebody who hates. Very interesting. 1-888-589-8840. 1-888-589-8840. 1-888-589-8840. You're going to hear from the President tonight in the State of the Union address. You're going to hear from the Tea Party, Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, and you'll be hearing from the Republican Party. What do you want to hear from one or all of those? 1-888-589-8840. And you can have a little fun, too, and participate in the Nothing But Truth State of the Union Physical Challenge. You would have to do a push-up or a sit-up every time a certain word or phrase is used. What would that be? So it's a buffet. You can answer all of them or just one. It's okay. But what do you want to hear tonight from our president and from the Republican Party and the Tea Party? What would you like to hear? If there was one message you'd like to hear, what would it be? 1-888-589-8840. I really, and taking your calls as soon as they come in, understand that we've got a great team here. Hannah is getting your calls on as soon as possible. So I'm looking at the screen and looking up 1-888-589-8840, and we go to Linda. Linda from the great state of Oklahoma. Hello, Linda.
Hi there.
So, what do you think?
I just had a comment to make on Dr. Carson. This is the second time I've heard him, for any length of time. I don't have TV, so I stick with you guys.
Well, we love that.
And both times I cried. Why couldn't he be our president?
Linda, let me ask you, because I think it's wonderful that you've called in and shared that, because there are times, now I cry a lot. I just want you to know that in saying this. I cry a lot. I cry at sometimes sitcoms and touching moments, whatever it may be. But when I hear certain leaders speak, I do the same thing. And I wanted to know, what makes you cry when you hear Dr. Carson speak? What is it, the hope? Is it something that, go ahead.
His sincerity, his knowledge, he's a real American. I mean, he's just real. There's no fluff. There's no anything.
Yeah.
Bad.
And he's speaking to what I think we don't see a lot of today, and we see mocked so often. And he's just speaking directly and confidently, without affectations or in any way, just plainly. It is awesome. Linda,
I love it.
Thank you. Thanks for being a part of things. Great to be with you. Take care. Cody, Arkansas, what do you think about the State of the Union address and the people who will be speaking tonight, the Republican Party's response, Tea Party response, and the president? What do you want to hear, Cody?
You were talking about the word challenge for the physical fitness thing.
Yes, that too, of course.
I think my arms would fall off if we had to do a push-up for every time he said I or me.
I know, but you'd be buff.
Oh,
You'd
yes,
be.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, Cody, that's great, bro. You want to weigh in on the other stuff, or are you good with the physical challenge?
I I don't want to ruin I'm going into work, so I don't want to ruin my whole night if I get too involved in it right now.
All right, man. Hey,
Thank you.
thanks. Keep it up, brother. Take care. All right, 1-888-589-8840. 1-888-589-8840. I hear the macho man in my head. Feel the burn, baby. Let me be perfectly clear. Oh, yeah. All right. We are addressing what you want to hear in the State of the Union and what you think the phrase that will be used the most. And if you do it, you have to do a push-up or a sit-up if you hear it. Okay, let's go to Jack in the great state of Alabama. Hello, Jack.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
We're going through an ice storm right now.
Okay.
The last time we had an ice storm that I remember like this, it was in going through Tennessee and Arkansas when Al Gore and President and Clinton got elected.
Now, that was we're talking early 90s. I remember that because I was at Ole Miss, and our power went out, and my roommate Van, we went on a trip actually up or over to Tennessee during that time. Wow, that brings back a lot of memories, and though they were with one of my best friends in the world at the time, I will say that it was quite miserable and dangerous.
And
Your thoughts?
It's no small coincidence if I think on the evening and the season, it's no small coincidence. What I wanted to talk about is the State of the Union.
Okay.
And I have read a recent poll that 92% of the Democrats believe that evolution was a fact. Well, in interpolating that, if you believe evolution is a fact, then you are a pagan. And if you look at I'll call it what it is a pagan. And all the rules and all the regulations and all the laws are paganistic.
Let me ask you this, Jack, on that note, and appreciate
Sure.
the fact. I look at it as if you deny that we are created in God's image, then it goes to statism, which can view everybody as an object and evaluate their worth not on the fact that they're alive, but on other scales. And when we've done that in the past, and when we do that today, what we see in abortion and euthanasia, for that matter, and we've seen it.
That would be a
Go ahead.
correct way of stating that, in my humble opinion.
I didn't know I was being politically correct, but go ahead.
I would just prefer to call it what it is, and it's paganistic goose. And and many are called, few are chosen. And when you've got pagans running a party, you're going to get what pagans would offer you. And we have to put it in terms so that we wake people up, so that they understand what they're facing. And Dr. Carson had a beautiful way to, when he said, quit the political correctness. Well, the political correctness is actually censorship in its purest form.
Yeah, but I mean, Jack, I would just say that I wasn't being or attempting to be politically correct. I was just evaluating your thoughts with the way I speak and style. I think everybody has a different style, a different approach, and how they go about it, and God's blessed them with the ability to do that. Let me ask you this, though, Jack, because of time. Tell me, if there was one thing you'd like to hear tonight from, be it the Republican, Tea Party, or even President Obama, what would it be?
I would like to see him convicted right there in front of all America, convicted by the Holy Ghost, right there, and I would pray and I would claim that on him, and convicted by the blood of Jesus Christ, and become a born again right there. That one thing would solve a lot of problems, because he would have to to kick out and clean out everything that he's done that
Jack,
nobody else would have the guts to do.
Appreciate your point of view. Thank you. And just recognizing there are those who would say, well, he's already been convicted. He calls us. I get all that. But pray for, and from what I hear, I look at it as you feel a godly sorrow when you're convicted and when you come to Christ. And that godly sorrow is an incredible foundation for change, because the Lord is changing your heart. And it's not, I don't say this as pointing down, I'm saying it pointing up, to understand that if you look at the consequences of policies and statements and the approach of this government, it is not recognizing human nature. That's just simply the truth. And they believe that human nature evolves, or that they are not subject to it as part of the federal government. So many places to go with that. Jack, I'm going to leave the comment where it is. Let people evaluate for themselves. Thank you very much for your phone call. I move now to Stan in Arkansas. Stan, thanks for your patience. State of the Union, the topic. Your thoughts, Stan.
It's just this. The last caller said all the people that run the Democratic Party are pagans, and after what the fellow with the doctor said before that, and what you said, don't you think it would help if instead of looking for faults in everything the opposition party says, you find something good to say about them? Think about it, Crane.
I am. I think that's well, hold on, because you've made a statement. I want to respond, but I'm not cutting you off there, Stan. Okay? I'm looking at a worldview. Now, a caller can have their, I'm not going to address that. That is I will address what I have said regarding this, only because that's what is fair, because we're in the conversation. I am saying that when I look at a worldview and policies, I'm not seeing the recognition of human nature, our fallen nature, the recognition that we are created in God's image, and addressing that would be to say, I would like to see policies reflect that recognition. I don't see it yet. If you want me to point out things that are positive, that's wonderful. I could do that. But where are we going? Because I'm looking at the problem, and I think the problem is the foundation of the worldview. And I think it manifests in different ways in policies. That said, go ahead, Stan.
Well, it's just, I listen to your show when I'm driving home, and I never hear you say anything but bad things about the president. Now, when George Bush was president, he wasn't my favorite. But you know what? I could find good things that he had done, because I'm a big believer in this. If you think bad things are going to happen, they will.
But what am I supposed to do with the record? What am I supposed to do with the result of policies? And am I supposed to ignore that? Because I've made it very clear, I don't know the president personally. I'm looking at the chief executive, and I'm remarking on the behavior as well as the policies that have been put forth and the consequence of those. What about the people that have been impacted by those policies? And I would say that Americans have, all of us. And what would you like me to do, sir?
Get across
is
this.
Go ahead.
Some of the policy impacts that you talk about, you always seem to try and spin it in the worst way possible. And wouldn't it help if someone like you could find some good things to say about America and what is going on with the government, even if it is a Democrat in office? Because I guarantee you, in 2016, whoever wins the presidency then, Republican, Tea Party, whatever,
yes,
I'll support them 120%.
I got it. And I believe, and with respect, because of time, I believe I am supporting the president by pointing out the results of the policies. And I do pray, and I do call him our president because he is our president. But I think an obligation is to point those things out to make the country better. I don't care if it's R or D. But thank you so much. Out of time this hour. Come back, Hans von Spakovsky, AFR.